House hunting was supposed to be exciting. That's what everyone told me. A fresh start, a new chapter, a step toward the future. But after a month of driving all over the city, stepping into overpriced cookie-cutter houses that smelled like stale air and old carpets, I was already exhausted. Rachel, on the other hand, was determined. She wanted a backyard, a spacious kitchen, and a cozy but modern feel, whatever the hell that meant. I didn't mind our apartment. It was small, sure, but it was home. But Rachel kept saying we needed something bigger, something ours, and I wanted to make her happy. Trust me, you guys are going to love this one, our realtor Mark said as we pulled into the driveway of a two-story colonial. He had that slick salesman charm, all smiles and handshakes, always acting like he was doing you a favor. I never liked him, but he came highly recommended, so I put up with him. This one's been getting a lot of attention, he added, stepping out of his car. But I gave Rachel an early look earlier this week. She got the VIP treatment. I frowned. Wait, you already saw this place? Rachel glanced at me, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear. Yeah, Mark texted me about an early showing while you were at work. I figured I'd check it out first, see if it was worth our time. Something about the way she said it felt off. Not wrong exactly, just practiced. Rachel wasn't the type to make decisions without me. She always wanted my opinion, even on small things. If she had seen this place days ago, why hadn't she mentioned it? I forced a nod. All right, let's check it out. Inside, the house was nice. Too nice. High ceilings, hardwood floors, natural light pouring through massive windows. The kind of house that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Mark went into full salesman mode, gesturing at the kitchen island, talking about the luxurious master suite. But I wasn't listening. I was watching Rachel. She wasn't reacting the way she usually did. Normally, she'd be gushing about the details, already envisioning where to put the furniture. But here, she moved through the space too comfortably, like she already knew the layout, like she'd been here more than once. I followed her upstairs. She walked into the master bedroom and paused, staring at the neatly made bed. I watched her, waiting for her to say something. Mark leaned against the door frame, a smug grin on his face. Told you it was a good one. Rachel cleared her throat. Yeah, it's beautiful. I didn't like the way she said that. I didn't like the way Mark was looking at her either. A strange feeling settled in my gut. Something wasn't right. When we got back home, Rachel went straight to the shower. I sat on the couch staring at my phone, debating whether I was being paranoid. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe she really had just checked out the house early, just like she said. But then I remembered something Mark had said. She got the VIP treatment. What the hell did that mean? I opened our shared calendar on my phone. Rachel was meticulous about keeping track of her schedule, always writing things down. But there was nothing about visiting the house. Not on our shared calendar, not in her texts, not anywhere. I checked her messages with Mark, and that's when I saw it. Hey, got an early showing before the listing goes live. Want to meet up? Sounds good. Usual time. Yeah, 2 p.m. I'll leave the back door open. My blood ran cold. Usual time? Back door open? My pulse pounded as I scrolled up. Their messages weren't frequent, but there was a pattern. Short, cryptic texts, mentions of stopping by or checking out places. No details, no addresses, no real conversation, just coded messages. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. I told myself there had to be another explanation. Maybe she just met him for a showing, and I was overthinking it. Maybe I was just being jealous, but something told me I wasn't. I needed answers. The next morning, Rachel kissed me before heading to work. Love you, she said, her voice light, casual, like everything was normal. I forced a smile. Love you too. She walked out the door, her heels clicking against the pavement as she got into her car. I watched from the window, waiting until she disappeared down the street before grabbing my keys and heading out. I didn't go to work. I needed answers. I drove straight to the house. It was still listed for sale, meaning no one lived there. The place was empty, just a model home waiting for a buyer. I parked a few houses down, watching for any signs of Mark. Nothing. The neighborhood was still, quiet. I walked up the driveway, my pulse steady but my stomach tight. I tried the front door, already knowing it would be locked. Then I moved around the side, past the bushes, and reached the backyard. The gate was unlatched. A shiver crawled up my spine. I hesitated, then pushed it open. The backyard was perfectly manicured, neatly trimmed grass, a small patio set up with 2 chairs and a little table. It looked untouched, like no one had ever sat there before. The sliding glass door leading inside was unlocked. I stepped inside, my breath catching in my throat. The house felt different now. Yesterday it had felt warm, inviting, full of possibilities. Now it felt abandoned, cold. I walked through the living room. The air was thick with something invisible, something I couldn't name, like a presence. I made my way upstairs, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. The master bedroom was just as we had left it, but something caught my eye. A small piece of fabric, half hidden under the dresser. I stepped closer, kneeling down. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. A black lace thong. My stomach twisted. My skin burned. I recognized it immediately. It was Rachel's. No doubt about it. I had seen her wear this exact pair before. I had taken them off her before. My legs felt weak. My throat closed up. I turned the fabric over in my hands, my fingers brushing over the delicate lace, searching for anything else. Anything that could somehow make this not what it looked like. And then I saw it. A faint stain. A smudge of something barely visible in the dim morning light. I rubbed my thumb over it. Foundation. Makeup. Rachel's makeup. My pulse hammered against my ribs. My whole body felt like it was vibrating, my vision tunneling. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't a misunderstanding. She had been here, and she hadn't been alone. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat, forcing myself to stay calm, but my hands were shaking. I needed more than this, more proof. I pulled out my phone and took a picture of the underwear, then stuffed it into my pocket. I stepped back, my mind racing. And then I noticed something else. The closet door. It was slightly open. I walked toward it, my footsteps slow, deliberate. I pushed it open all the way. And there, in the corner, tucked behind the hanging clothes, was something that made my blood turn to ice. A used condom wrapper. The air left my lungs. I stared at it, unable to move. The floor beneath me seemed to tilt. A cold, numbing sensation spread through my body. It was like my brain refused to fully register what I was looking at, like it was protecting me, keeping me from completely falling apart. I reached down, picked it up with 2 fingers. The small, crinkled square of foil was unmistakable. A condom wrapper. I squeezed my eyes shut. I could still remember Rachel's words from last night. This could be the one. Was she talking about the house? Or him? My jaw clenched so tightly my teeth hurt. I forced myself to think, to breathe. I pulled out my phone and snapped another picture. I needed to know everything. I searched the room, opening drawers, checking under the bed. Nothing else stood out. But then my eyes landed on the nightstand. I walked over, my stomach twisting. There was nothing on top of it, just the usual stage lamp and a few generic decorations. But the drawer wasn't closed all the way. I reached out, fingers cold, and pulled it open. Inside was a receipt, a hotel receipt. My breath caught. It was folded, partially crumpled, like it had been shoved in there carelessly. I picked it up, unfolding it. The name on the booking wasn't Rachel's. It wasn't even Mark's. It was a woman's name I didn't recognize. My mind raced. Was this part of the house staging? Had someone left it here by accident? But then I saw the date, last Friday. The same day Rachel had told me she was working late. The same night she came home smelling like someone else's cologne. A rush of nausea hit me so hard I had to grip the edge of the nightstand. I didn't know what to do, what to think. All I knew was that my wife had been here, with him, and I wasn't leaving until I knew everything. I stood there gripping the hotel receipt, my breath shallow, my hands felt numb, my heart hammering against my ribs like it was trying to escape. Everything in me wanted to believe there was another explanation, but I knew better. I knew. Rachel had been here, with Mark. And this wasn't the first time. I shoved the receipt into my pocket, my fingers brushing against the lace thong still crumpled inside. A disgusting trophy of my own humiliation. I wanted to scream, to punch the walls, to tear this perfect little house apart, but I forced myself to stay calm. Losing it now wouldn't help. I needed more. I turned back to the closet, scanning the space. The house was staged for showings, so most of the furniture was generic, empty. But this closet, someone had used it. The hangers were slightly askew, a jacket half folded over one of the rods. That didn't fit with a house no one lived in. My fingers trailed over the fabric, and that's when I noticed something else. The faintest scent. Rachel's perfume. It was subtle, almost gone, but it was there. That soft floral scent she always wore. The one I used to love. The one that now made my stomach turn. I stepped back, trying to piece it all together. How long had this been going on? How many times had she met him here? And then I saw it. A smudge on the edge of the bed. At first I thought it was nothing. A shadow maybe. But when I stepped closer I saw it clearly. A faint handprint. Makeup. Foundation. Rachel's shade. I swallowed hard. My throat felt like sandpaper. This wasn't just suspicion anymore. This was fact. I forced myself to move, stepping away from the crime scene that was once supposed to be our future home. I needed to leave before I did something stupid. I needed to get out before my rage made me reckless. As I turned to go, something else caught my eye. A small glint of silver against the carpet, half hidden under the bed. A necklace. Rachel's necklace. The one I bought her for our anniversary last year. The final crack in my chest broke open. I didn't even realize I had clenched my fist around the fabric in my pocket until my nails dug into my palm. This was real. This was happening. Rachel was cheating on me. I drove home in silence, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. The world outside blurred past, but I didn't see any of it. My mind was a storm, my thoughts looping over and over again. How long? How many times? How could she look me in the eye every day and tell me she loved me? By the time I pulled into our parking space, I felt sick. The reality of it was sinking in, twisting in my gut like a knife. I sat there for a moment, gripping the keys, forcing myself to breathe. I could go inside and pretend everything was fine. Act normal. Wait until I had a plan. Or I could confront her right now. I stepped out of the car, my legs feeling heavier than they ever had before. When I walked into the apartment, Rachel was standing by the kitchen counter, scrolling through her phone. She looked up and smiled. "How was work?" she asked, casual, like nothing was wrong. I stared at her, the woman I had loved for 8 years, the woman who had shared my bed, my dreams, my life. Now all I could see was a liar. I pulled the lace thong from my pocket and dropped it on the counter between us. Rachel's face went pale. "What's this?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. She didn't move, didn't speak. Her eyes darted to the underwear, then back to me. I saw her throat bob as she swallowed. "Rachel," I said, my voice like ice, "I found this in the house. The house you said you saw once." A flash of panic crossed her face before she forced it away. I I don't know what you're talking about." I let out a short laugh, humorless. "Don't do that. Don't insult me." She bit her lip, hesitating. Then she went for the next tactic, denial. "Maybe it belonged to someone else. It's a house on the market, Aaron. People go in and out all the time." I tilted my head. "Oh? So someone just happened to leave your exact size in the master bedroom?" Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I took a step closer. Still thinking of an excuse? Her breathing quickened. "Aaron, you're being crazy right now." I felt something inside me snap. "Am I?" I threw the hotel receipt onto the counter. "Tell me, was I being crazy when I found this? From last Friday night, the same night you told me you were working late?" Her eyes widened, flicking to the receipt. Her lips parted, but she said nothing. I wasn't done. I pulled the condom wrapper from my other pocket and set it down, watching her reaction. Her breath hitched. Rachel froze. And that was all I needed to see. She didn't need to say anything. The truth was already written all over her face. I exhaled slowly, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over me. I know, I said, my voice quiet. I know everything. She shook her head frantically, her hands trembling. Aaron, please, don't. I cut her off, my voice sharper than I expected. Don't lie to me again. Her eyes filled with tears, real ones. But they didn't move me. Not anymore. There was a long silence between us. And then, barely above a whisper, she said it. I'm so sorry. I stared at her, my chest hollow. I should have felt something. Rage, grief, betrayal. But all I felt was nothing. Rachel had already broken me. Now all that was left to do was decide how I was going to break her back. Rachel stood there frozen, her eyes locked onto the evidence in front of her. Her underwear, the hotel receipt, the condom wrapper. 3 tiny objects that had just destroyed our marriage. I watched her, waiting for her to say something, anything that wasn't a lie. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the receipt, her eyes scanning the date, as if hoping to find a loophole, a way to gaslight me into believing I had somehow made all of this up. But there was no escape. The truth was, right there, in black and white. She let out a shaky breath. Aaron, I don't. My voice came out colder than I intended, but I didn't care. No excuses, no bullshit. I want the truth. She swallowed hard, her hands clenching into fists at her sides. I could see the battle happening inside her instincts screaming at her to lie, to manipulate, to control the narrative. But she knew she couldn't. Not this time. Her lip trembled. I didn't mean for this to happen. A hollow laugh escaped my throat. You didn't mean for this to happen? I shook my head. Rachel, you don't accidentally meet up at a house with a realtor, strip off your underwear, and leave a used condom wrapper behind. That takes a lot of planning. She flinched, her body tense, like she was finally realizing there was no getting out of this. Tears welled in her eyes. Aaron, please, I love you. I swear I never stopped loving you. I clenched my jaw so tightly it hurt. She still thought words could fix this. Love. I took a step forward and she instinctively stepped back. That's what you call this? Love? I gestured to the thong on the counter. That's what love looks like to you? She wiped at her eyes, shaking her head. I was confused. I wasn't thinking clearly. I slammed my hand down on the counter, making her jump. Don't you dare feed me that shit. My voice was sharp, dangerous. You weren't confused when you were fucking him, Rachel. You weren't confused when you were lying to my face every single day. Her face crumpled, the tears spilling freely now. But I felt nothing. She wasn't crying because she was sorry. She was crying because she got caught. I inhaled deeply, forcing myself to stay in control. How long? Rachel sniffled, wiping at her nose. I don't. How long? My voice cracked through the apartment like a gunshot. She jumped, shoulders shaking. Then after a long pause, she whispered, 3 months. I closed my eyes, swallowing back the bile rising in my throat. 3 months, 12 weeks, 90 days. Every kiss, every I love you, every time she held my hand or curled up next to me in bed, all of it had been a lie for 3 goddamn months. I felt like a complete idiot. You disgust me, I muttered, my voice raw. Rachel sobbed. Aaron, please. No. I held up a hand. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what your excuses are. You made your choice. She blinked through her tears. But I'll fix this. We can fix this. We can go to therapy. We can... I laughed bitterly. You think therapy is going to make me forget how you let another man fuck you in the house we were supposed to buy? Her face crumpled in shame, but I wasn't done. I grabbed my phone from the counter and pulled up my camera roll. She watched in confusion as I tapped on the photos. Then her face drained of all color when I turned the screen toward her. The pictures of the underwear, of the condom wrapper, of the hotel receipt, and one last one, of the handprint she had left on the bed. Rachel let out a sharp inhale. Aaron, what are you doing? I gave her a slow, cruel smile. I sent them to myself, and to a backup drive, and to an email account you don't know about. Her lips parted, her breath shallow. Why, why would you do that? I tilted my head. Because I'm not just going to walk away and let you get off easy. She shook her head frantically, panic setting in. Please, you can't. Oh, I can. I stepped forward, lowering my voice. I'm going to make sure everyone knows who you really are. Your friends, your family, hell, maybe even your job. Her eyes widened in terror. Aaron, please, I shrugged. Oh, I thought you wanted to fix this. Well, I'm going to fix it by exposing you for exactly what you are. Rachel dropped to her knees. I'll do anything. Please don't ruin my life. I stared at her. The woman I had once loved. The woman I would have done anything for. Now all I wanted was to watch her burn. Rachel was still on her knees, her hands clasped together like she was praying to me. Pathetic. Please, Aaron, she whispered, her voice trembling. I know I messed up, but you don't have to do this. I scoffed. I don't have to? I crouched down, leveling my gaze with hers. Rachel, do you have any idea how much I want to make you feel the pain I'm feeling right now? She winced. I already do. No. I shook my head. You feel guilty. You feel scared. But you have no idea what it's like to feel betrayed. To feel like the last 8 years of your life were a goddamn joke. Her lower lip trembled. I never meant... Don't. My voice was sharp enough to cut her off. I stood up, towering over her. You did mean it. Every single time you snuck around, every time you texted him, every time you made up an excuse so you could be with him, you chose this. She squeezed her eyes shut, tears dripping onto the floor. I felt lost. Oh, don't even start. I let out a bitter laugh. You felt lost. That's your excuse. She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. I didn't do this to hurt you. I felt my jaw tighten. I took my phone, scrolled down my contacts, and hovered over a name. Rachel's breath hitched. What are you doing? I held up the screen so she could see. Mark, her face drained of color. No, Aaron, please. I hit call. Rachel lunged for me, but I stepped back. The phone rang once, twice. Then, Aaron, Mark's voice came through the speaker, casual, smug. Didn't expect to hear from you, buddy. What's up? I locked eyes with Rachel. I wanted to see her fall apart. Oh, not much, I said, keeping my tone light. Just sitting here with Rachel. We're having a little conversation. Silence. Then Mark's voice lost its arrogance. Oh, yeah, I smirked. Turns out she's not as good at covering her tracks as she thought. Mark sighed. Listen, man. No, you listen. My voice dropped, my anger curling around every word. I know everything, Mark. The house, the hotel, the texts, all of it. Rachel whimpered beside me. Mark was silent for a moment, then he said, Aaron, I hung up. I wasn't interested in his bullshit excuses. Rachel was shaking. You didn't have to call him. I laughed. Oh, honey, we're just getting started. She swallowed. What does that mean? I unlocked my phone again and started typing. Rachel's eyes widened in horror. Aaron, number... She tried to grab the phone, but I moved faster. Send. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She scrambled for it, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold it. She unlocked the screen, and the blood drained from her face. The pictures, the hotel receipt, the underwear, the condom wrapper. All of it, sent directly to her parents. She gasped. You didn't. I crossed my arms. I did. Her breath came in short, panicked gasps. Aaron, they'll never forgive me. I shrugged. Not my problem. Her hands clutched at her chest. I need to stop them from seeing... I leaned against the counter. Go ahead, call them. Try to explain this. Tell them how you fucked our realtor in a house we were supposed to buy. She let out a sob. You're ruining my life. I grinned. And you ruined mine. We're even. She covered her face with her hands, her body shaking. I watched, feeling nothing. This was what she deserved. And I wasn't done yet. Rachel was falling apart in front of me. I watched as she clutched her phone like it was a lifeline, like she could somehow undo what had already been done. But there was no going back. She clicked frantically, trying to delete the message, But she was too late. Her parents had already seen it. Her phone lit up with an incoming call. Mom! Rachel's breath caught in her throat. She turned to me, her face twisted in pure, unfiltered panic. Aaron, please, I'll do anything. Just, just let me fix this. Don't make me lose my family. I stared at her, unblinking. Where was this desperation when she was sneaking off to fuck Mark? Where was this begging when she was lying to my face every day? You already lost them, Rachel, I said coldly. She swallowed, her hands shaking as she let the call go to voicemail. A second later, another notification popped up. One unread voicemail. Rachel's hands trembled as she pressed play. Rachel, her mother's voice came through, sharp, full of disappointment. Call me back, now. Rachel let out a shaky sob, her knees buckling. She grabbed onto the counter for support, looking at me like I was the monster in this story. Maybe I was. I should have felt bad, but I didn't. I should have felt guilty, but I didn't. She had chosen this, and now she had to live with the consequences. I turned and walked toward the door. Rachel's head snapped up. Where are you going? I didn't answer. I reached for the handle, but she suddenly lunged forward, grabbing my arm. Aaron, please. Her voice was raw, her fingers digging into me like I was the only thing keeping her from drowning. I can't lose you. I can't. I wrenched my arm away, stepping back. You lost me the second you spread your legs for him. She flinched like I had slapped her. Her face crumpled, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. I laughed, sharp and bitter. You what? You're sorry? You regret it? I shook my head, my hands trembling with rage. Rachel, don't insult me with that bullshit. If you really regretted it, you wouldn't have done it over and over again. She let out a strangled sound, half sob, half gasp. I kept going. You didn't just betray me. You lied to me every single day. You looked me in the eyes, kissed me, said you loved me, and then ran off to fuck him. My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. You planned it. You made excuses. You lied without even flinching. And now suddenly you're sorry? Suddenly you care? Rachel was sobbing now, her entire body shaking. I didn't mean to, I snapped. Stop fucking saying that, I roared, my vision going red. You did mean to. Every single time, you made a choice. And now, you don't like the consequences. She collapsed to her knees, gasping for air like she couldn't breathe. I stood over her, my fists clenched so tightly my nails bit into my palms. I should have walked away, but I wanted to finish this. I took out my phone again. She noticed and immediately panicked. Her voice broke. Aaron, what are you doing now? I smirked. Just sharing some memories. And then I posted the pictures, the hotel receipt, the underwear, the condom wrapper, everything, straight to our friend group chat. Rachel screamed. Her hands flew to her head like she could somehow make this nightmare stop. No! Oh my God, no, 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 please, Aaron, please. She lunged for my phone, but I was faster. The damage was done. Her phone buzzed over and over, lighting up with incoming messages. Her best friend Claire. Rachel, what the fuck is this? Our friend Jake. Holy shit. Tell me this isn't real. Her coworker Amanda. Rachel, please tell me you didn't do this to Aaron. And the worst one, her father. A single text. We need to talk. Now Rachel's entire body went still. I could almost hear her heart shatter. She turned to me, her eyes wide, her breath coming in short, desperate gasps. Aaron, please. You don't have to do this. You don't have to ruin my life. I tilted my head. I didn't ruin your life, Rachel. You did. Her lip quivered. I can't lose everything. I smiled. Guess you should have thought about that before you climbed into his bed. Her knees gave out completely, and she collapsed, sobbing. I grabbed my keys. This time, I didn't hesitate. I walked to the door, my steps steady, my heartbeat calm. Rachel crawled after me. She grabbed the back of my shirt, begging, Please, Aaron, please, I'll do anything. I'll fix it. I'll make it right. I turned and looked down at her, the woman I had once loved more than anything. Now she was nothing to me. I leaned in close, just enough for her to hear me. "You're already dead to me, Rachel." Then I stepped outside and slammed the door behind me. I didn't look back. I didn't have to. I could still hear her crying. But that wasn't my problem anymore. She was finally feeling the pain she had put me through, and I was finally free.